So this is a really great way that you guys can start to free up some of the joints, right? We've got 33 joints in the foot alone, right? 4 layers of muscle and 26 bone, but to free up the joints in the feet. If you're somebody who wears shoes a lot, or you find that your feet are constantly being compressed, okay? And widely, a lot of the Western shoes that we wear are generally pointed at the toes. They're on arches or they're on ramps, and they have arches inside the shoe to support the natural arch of your foot. And all three of those things I just mentioned, unfortunately, start to shape and create a foot that is completely dysfunctional, as it is our feet that are this most incredible structure that hold us up. And if our foot starts to become dysfunctional, as in the muscles in our feet start to collapse, we find that we start to pancake in our feet and the fascia starts to try to do the job of the muscles, or we start to get this medial rotation, as in we're falling inwards with a collapsed arch. We are going to have a massive knock-on effect upstream into our knees, our hips and our spine, because everything starts from this foundation of our feet. So I'm going to share with you a few things that have really helped me. I used to work in radio and I did have collapsed arches. I had bunions, and I also started to have cross toes because I did wear stilettos for so long. So I guarantee your feet can change, but they need work just like the rest of your body. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things here. As I said, I'm going to be using the half dome that I sell in the foot health packs, but you can use anything that you can balance on that does make it a little bit unsteady onto the foot, or just use the edge of a floor, whatever you have got. And I also recommend holding onto a broomstick or something, or a wall, if you're relatively new to balancing. I go into this a lot deeper in my 4-week online foot, knee and hip health course, which you can find over on the website, Move Like Water Collective. Firstly, we're going to start to wake up the feet and the muscles in the feet by starting to come into a bit of balance. As I said, you can do this on the floor if you don't have anything, but a yoga block is also a great place to start. All right, so we're going to be placing it down onto the ground, all right, and as we're balancing into this one, and this is just a shorter routine, it's just to get you started with any foot strength and also to start to break up that fascia. But we're just going to start to wake up all of that area around the ankle joint that can get really stuck and stagnant if we're wearing shoes. I have a really soft knee here and my quadricep is on, and also is my glute. And we're just allowing that floating foot just to move and letting the rest of the body really relax here. So I don't want to hold any tension. I want to be breathing in through the nose, pressing down onto the diaphragm, so diaphragmatic breath. It's in through the nose and out through the nose, and maybe really thinking about that exhalation being nice and slow. The whole time here, we're just balancing on something relatively uneven. This is why these half domes are perfect. And our foot and our ankle, our knee and our hip is doing a lot of work here through the stabilizer muscles just to keep me upright here. All right, we want to work towards 1 to 2 minutes a day onto that, if not just a little bit more. And then of course, waking up through the other side. So it's a great place to start. Again, it's quite passive on the feet. And it's a really nice way just to start to wake up and send energy or blood flow into the fascia that might have become a bit calcified or developed too much collagen, as in it kind of resembles scar tissue in and around the feet and the ankles. So again, nasal belly breathing here, and the task is just to relax as much as possible and keep the standing knee bent. And we'll take another 3 breaths here. All right, nice work, guys. All right, the next one we're going to start to do is get into the muscles of the feet here. Now, again, I'm using this half dome. You can also do this kind of on a yoga block. You can do it on a rolled up towel if you don't have anything like this. But we want to try to get into the fascia of the feet here. So again, you can do this with both feet on there, or you can do single. I'm going to go single today so you can actually see what I'm doing to support. So I'm going to place the arch of my foot over the half dome, and I'm using that other foot just to support here. Now, this might be more than enough for you, just a bit of rolling and gentle movement just into an area that is so important. Again, as I mentioned, this is our 4 layers of muscle on the underside of the foot right here. And they become really weak when we wear shoes as often as we do. There's no flexion and extension of the muscles because they're being supported by an arch in our shoe. So when they start to collapse, the fascia starts to take over the job of the muscles, and we end up with things like plantar fasciitis and the body starting to internally rotate. Now, if that feels okay, you can actually start to lift up that foot and start to balance. And this is quite challenging. You can always use the toe into that space. And I'm really just getting into the fascia on the underside of the foot here and stimulating blood flow into this area. All right, and then of course we will change sides. So once again, get a feel for it first. Keep your standing knees soft. Again, and just massaging through that area nice and slow first. The whole time, it's really important that we are breathing into the belly. So that diaphragmatic breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And we want to breathe into the belly. And as you exhale, you're feeling the belly soften and the rib cage rise back up. Now, if that feels okay, we can start to potentially lift that other foot off here. And again, that might be a couple of weeks or even months before this starts to happen. And again, trying not to hold any tension into the traps, the shoulders, the face, the jaw. Nasal belly breathing here. Eyes nice and steady. And we'll hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, our last one for the feet, we're going to actually just come down and get into the foot itself. All right, so as we're coming down onto the ground, what we're thinking about doing here is using like the knuckles in our hand to massage out the fascia, right? So we want to actually spend a little bit of time on this, getting into even the bones, like the medial side of the ankle joint, getting the top of the knuckles like into the fascia, and actually pushing into any areas that you feel you might have adhesions into the feet, where there might be that buildup of collagen, where the fascia is like locked on and feels rigid and there's a lot of tension in the foot. So as you move the knuckles in and around the feet, just spend time here on your exhale. We don't want to be locked up and tense in the shoulders while we're doing this. And we want to be really using our nasal belly breath as you're just massaging around all of the areas of your foot. So think the medial side of your foot, get into the ball of your foot, the heel of your foot, and also where the break of the ankle joint is, right? So get into this space as well, right? We have to remember that the fascia encompasses everything. So our bones and our joints are floating around in fascia, right? And if the fascia is dehydrated and unhealthy, what's going to happen is we start to end up with this bone on bone because it literally dries up. So we need this balance of collagen and elastin in our fascia, which creates the hydration for us when we breathe in for the cell to receive oxygen, and as we breathe out, for the cell to release carbon dioxide. That's how the body works. If that's not happening, we're going to end up with this tightness and tension from the ground up, right? That again is not only affected by our breath, but also really affected by this tight fascia. So once again, getting into that other foot, right? I do have a separate one, of course, into the foot release. But just for now, these are 3 really easy movements you can do. So you can even use your thumbs to get into there. Your partner can do it if that works and if that, is doable for you. But we want to just spend some time here pushing into the foot, right? It shouldn't feel super comfortable, but as we're working through this space, we want to be really focusing on our exhalation and making sure that the rest of the body is not going into tension when you're pushing into these areas. If we start to unlock the fascia in our feet, then you're going to notice a massive effect, not only into your knees, but also your hips, your spine, and also your breathing as well. All right, so spending at least a minute, if you can, up to 3, working through those couple of movements. And I guarantee you, with just that bit of work onto your feet, right, a little bit of spreading of the toes, flexion and extension of the foot muscles, and actually like kneading into the fascia, right, you're going to have a knock-on effect upstream into the rest of your body.